Every single morning, it feels like Canada is waking up to a new threat from Donald Trump. New day, new target, new headline. But today, something changed. This time, Trump didn't just threaten Canada, he embarrassed himself on the global stage because his latest move, aimed directly at Canada's aviation industry, may end up hurting the United States more than anyone else. In the process, it exposed something crucial. Trump's threats are losing their power, losing their credibility, and against Mark Carney's Canada, losing their sting. Late Thursday night, Trump announced that unless Canada certified several Gulfstream business jets, his administration would impose a 50% tariff on Canadian-made aircraft. He also suggested that Canadian planes operating in the United States could lose their certification. On paper, this sounded aggressive. Aviation is one of Canada's most important industrial sectors, and disrupting it could have serious consequences. Trump clearly intended to send a message, comply or pay a price, and to put Carney on the defensive. But it failed.
On Thursday evening, out of the blue, U.S. President Donald Trump posted on Truth Social that unless Canada certified 4 types of Gulfstream business jet, these are luxury jets made by the Georgia-based company south of the border, he would immediately impose tariffs of 50% on all Canadian-made aircraft and also decertify all Canadian-made aircraft, that's twin-prop planes, jets, helicopters, that were in the U.S., which would apply to 5,400 planes.
Almost immediately, the White House began retreating from the original statement. Officials clarified that existing aircraft would not be grounded and that only future deliveries were being discussed. This rapid reversal was not accidental. It was an admission that the threat had gone too far. Grounding Canadian-built aircraft would have devastated U.S. airlines, disrupted travel nationwide, and triggered political backlash at home. Trump's own advisors understood this, so before Canada even responded, the threat was already weakened. That is not how leverage works. That is how it collapses.
House officials on background clarified that, oh no, the president didn't mean all aircraft currently in service in the U.S., which, if grounded, would completely hobble the U.S. travel and aviation industry, given the number of planes down there. Delta Airlines alone flies 46 Airbus-made A220s, which are assembled here in Quebec. That would be devastating to the U.S. travel industry. The tariffs that the president has threatened, of 50% supposedly, on aircraft shipped into the U.S. from Canada, would hurt the U.S. most of all, according to experts. Bombardier alone has 3,000 employees working at 9 plants across the U.S. Some 40% of Bombardier luxury jets are composed of American-made components. So any hit to Bombardier's business is a hit to American factories and the work.
As analysts examined the situation, another problem became obvious. Trump may not even have the authority to carry out his threat. Aircraft certification is handled by independent regulators, not political leaders. In the United States, that authority rests with the FAA. In Canada, it lies with Transport Canada. These decisions are based on safety and technical standards, not diplomatic disputes. Using certification as a political weapon would be unprecedented. It would invite lawsuits, violate international agreements, and almost certainly be blocked by the courts. In other words, Trump was threatening an action that was legally fragile at best and impossible at worst, further weakening an already weakened position. Even if such a policy were implemented, it would largely punish American workers. Canadian aircraft rely heavily on U.S.-made components, and Bombardier operates major facilities across several American states. Thousands of American families depend on that supply chain. Restricting Canadian exports would reduce U.S. factory orders, slow production, and threaten jobs. The Airbus A220 program follows the same model, with deep integration between Canadian assembly lines and American suppliers. This is not a one-sided relationship. By attacking Canadian aviation, Trump would be attacking American manufacturing itself, a clear case of economic self-sabotage. While Trump was issuing threats and his team was scrambling to soften them, Mark Carney took a very different approach. He did not overreact, escalate, or respond emotionally. Instead, he allowed the institutional and economic realities to speak for themselves. Canada's trade protections remained intact, regulatory systems continued functioning normally, businesses kept operating, and there was no panic in Ottawa, no crisis response, and no public spectacle. That calm was strategic. Carney understood that the more Trump talked, the weaker his position became.
What we're seeing here, once again, is as Donald Trump, since coming into power, continued to ramp up these tensions, going after Canada, saying that he would take Canada by economic force. What we have continued to see by Prime Minister Carney is a very strategic and deft diplomatic process of moving Canada away from the United States, becoming less reliant on the U.S. as Donald Trump has grown more unpredictable. And that's what we're seeing play out. And as Canada moves further and further away, the threats from the president continue to become more and more caustic. But again, what we're seeing from the president is his threats just don't have the sting, because as we know, more than 80% of the goods that come in under CUSMA from Canada to the United States are in fact protected.
This dispute was never really about aircraft. It was about influence. Under Mark Carney, Canada has steadily reduced its dependence on the United States by expanding trade relationships, strengthening European ties, and diversifying defense partnerships. These decisions were not symbolic. They were structural, and they limited Washington's ability to apply pressure. From Trump's perspective, that represents a loss of control, and when control slips away, he resorts to confrontation, not because it is effective, but because it is familiar. In earlier years, Trump's threats dominated the conversation. Governments scrambled to respond, markets reacted, and media coverage amplified his message. This time, something different happened. Canada did not scramble. Markets remained relatively stable. Allies watched quietly, and attention quickly shifted to the weaknesses in Trump's position. Instead of dictating terms, he was forced into clarification and retreat, a reversal of roles. This episode also reflects Trump's broader political isolation. He is in conflict with the Federal Reserve, has attempted to pressure independent institutions, faces resistance within his own party, and is encountering growing investor caution. Each confrontation chips away at confidence, and each controversy reduces credibility. Authority without trust is ineffective. Internationally, the message was unmistakable. A U.S. president issued a major economic threat. His own government diluted it within hours. Legal experts questioned its validity. Economists warned it would backfire, and the targeted country remained calm. That is not strength. It is a failed show of force. By doing very little, Carney accomplished a great deal. He demonstrated that Canada is resilient, showed that diversification works, proved that emotional escalation is unnecessary, and reinforced Canada's reputation as a stable, predictable partner. While Trump appeared impulsive and isolated, Carney appeared disciplined and prepared, and that contrast matters because in diplomacy, perception is power. Trump will almost certainly issue more threats, but each one now carries less weight. Each failed confrontation reduces his influence, and each retreat strengthens Canada's position. Power is cumulative, and so is credibility, and right now, only one side is accumulating it. This aviation dispute was meant to intimidate Canada. Instead, it exposed Donald Trump's limitations. He threatened actions he could not easily take, targeted industries that depend on his own country, retreated under pressure, and handed Mark Carney a strategic victory without Canada lifting a finger. Trump walked into this confrontation expecting compliance. He walked out weaker. Carney walked out stronger, and that tells you everything about where this relationship now stands.
For clear, fact-driven analysis of how Canada responds to pressure, interference, and global power politics, subscribe to Canada Today. Like the video, share it, and stay with us.